Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Dead Talk.
Yes. Well, welcome to our Dead Talk. Hi. Hey, I'm Dino,
I'm ZenBatman.
and we are starting a podcast, something we have never done before. But you know what? What egotistical millennial hasn't thought in their life at least once, I should start a podcast?
I say this is not the first time we've thought about it either.
Artist says you should introduce yourself as the entity.
uh,
But I think the idea, it was yours, Zen, was to have some fun discussions about, like, if this was like really a horror movie, right? That's the concept of it.
yes.
If there was a horror movie and we're gonna pick a different killer each week, and they were the actual killer in the horror movie, how would the survivors like actually fare in horror movie logic?
Yes, and this is based on their lore, specifically.
Yes, we're not too worried about perks, right?
Right.
Got
It
it.
is, it is specifically anything that is mentioned in their lore, which could be in their bios. It can be in any non-gameplay trailer, because obviously in the
Ooh.
gameplay trailers, they're kind of showing off what the killers can do. Like, I literally saw one where they had Hillbilly just, like, going through an open field to mow down a stationary Meg, and I'm like, I don't think that's how this is gonna work. But they
I mean,
also,
it could. She could get caught off guard.
how do you not hear it coming? It very clearly had that, and she's just like, and like in the open, the corn's behind her, just comes and mows her down. Which, to be fair, I have no problem with seeing a Meg get mowed down, but I don't think it's canon. But then
Uh,
also
Alex says that
checking.
you're very quiet, so I'm turning you up a little bit.
Oh no!
Let me know if this is better, Alex.
Yeah,
Uh,
scoot my mic closer to my face.
yes. Because
I
in my
talk in
ear,
the
you're,
direction.
I think I have you at like 120%, so you're loud enough for me that I don't
Okay.
want to turn it up higher.
Can you hear me now, dear? So yeah, bios, anything that comes into the archives, which you get from doing the challenges, or if there was a killer or survivor um, trailer. I was not pulling anything from the movies or TV shows. I was just going purely on what was in the trailer and bio stuff, just to kind of
That's
have it even.
that's fair, because also like I haven't actually seen many of the movies or anything. I think as far as like if we go like off of video games of the survivors or movies or TV shows that they've been in, the only one they've actually seen is Halloween,
Okay.
I think. Because I've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but we're not going to talk about Bubba today.
I'm
And
fine with
Bucket,
that.
the topic today is how would the survivors fare in a horror movie if Huntress was the killer?
Yes.
There might be somebody else that I've seen. I feel like I've seen more, but I don't know off the top of my head. I feel like also, let me just preface this. I've never read Felix's bio.
Oh
Uh,
no. This is critical to my theory.
oh no. You're gonna have to explain a lot to me. Um, I I know he's an architect, and I know he's German.
Mm-hmm. But did you know that he's actual friends with Elodie?
I've heard that. A lot of people said that like their lore was tied. I didn't know they were actually friends.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. They both
Yeah,
they both
Felix is a DILF.
experienced
That's
the
all I
same
cared about.
phenomena where they lost their parents.
Oh, at the thing,
Mm-hmm.
I forget. It's been so long since I've read Elodie's. Also, I should have reread everybody's lore. I didn't. I was like, surely just listening to the tomes is enough.
Yeah, she's actually the one that pressured him into going, which resulted
Oh,
in the loss of his parents.
oh shit!
Bah, bah, bah.
He was captured by a cult and never saw his family again. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dang.
It's a little rough.
I do like Zarina's background. I remember hers very well. All right.
Yes.
So,
I feel like we should start it off with any tidbits that we may have collected about the Huntress specifically.
okay.
Um, just so that everybody knows what the survivors are dealing with. And then that way, if you had picked up any tidbits about Huntress that I missed, or if I picked up anything that you missed, that we can add that to our collective knowledge and switch things around as needed.
Perfect.
Would you like me
Let
to
me,
start, or would you like to start?
How about you go first?
Okay. So the basics of the Huntress is that she lived out with her mom in the wilderness. Um, it seems that she has an aversion to men because there is a cutscene where men actually come and attack her mother, and her mom just massacres the shit out of them with an axe, and then gives Anna's the Huntress, gives her a little doll to calm her down. Um, Anyway, her mom dies because of what was it, an elk? They have a fight.
Yes.
It ends in a draw with the elk stabbing her with an antler and her just beating the crap out of it. So they're both dying, and the Huntress's mom doesn't want her to hear the sounds of both of them dying, so she sings her the lullaby, which is where the little lullaby thing comes from. Anyway, so she starts growing up by herself and starts becoming a little bit more feral. But it is mentioned in the archives that she is one of the more human of the killers and seems to have a bit more of a human side. But she gets very proficient at killing like anything in the woods. And eventually she gets bored with it and she starts moving up the ladder and starts like killing bears and shit. And then she starts noticing that there are men marching through because there's a war going on currently.
Yes.
So she's like, you know what? I'm going to go shank some of those bitches. So she did. And
So what
yes.
I remember was she saw them torturing each other.
Yes.
And she was just like, child's play.
Yeah.
And she actually like fucked with them.
Mm-hmm.
And tortured them, like, psychologically and physically. Just made them hate being out in the backwoods of Russia, wherever they were.
But I would like to point out that the nationalities that she was killing were specifically Russian and German.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But she also started targeting villages.
I see why you were saying that Felix was integral now.
Yeah. So she did start targeting villages because she had a hard time, like whenever she would encounter a little girl specifically, she would like feel like a little tingling in her heart, and she was like, I'm gonna go take care of her. And she would kidnap children, specifically girl children, and bring them back to her home. But she was afraid that they would go out in the wilderness and die, so she would literally tie a rope around them and secure the kid to her cabin wall, and they would eventually die from either cold or they would starve to death because she didn't know how to take care of a kid. Which it would break her heart every single time that happened. But the big thing is that she started hunting a lot of the men because they had little trinkets that she wanted to bring back to her, and I quote, little babushka. So if she saw somebody, like there's one guy that was carving something and she was like, my girl child in my cabin would like that. So she decided specifically, I'm going to kill that guy because he has a little trinket that I want to bring back to her. And so she would fuck with these guys. Like, she got one of them by strategically stepping on a stick so that the guy turned his head so that she could get the shot directly between his eyes and killed him that way.
Ugh.
Yeah. So she's strategically placing things. There was one where she took somebody's head off and rolled it So it brought their attention somewhere else so that she could go in. She's like, from her cutscenes, she's proficient in long range and close range, and she is extremely agile. Is not bothered at all by like the cannon fire that was going on. So it was crazy. And then she kept them from sleeping. She would literally fuck with them and wake them up from like doing the lullaby and making noise, and then she'd just go back to her cabin and sleep. So she was like super rested and ready to go, and they were like trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. And it got to the point where she was rumored to be both a man killer and it was, I can't remember the name of it, but they thought she was a werewolf of some kind, which she thinks is funny. So, just from her thinking it's funny, I don't think that that is actually true. I think it is just a rumor, and she is not an actual werewolf.
Yeah, I don't think she...
And her mask that she wears is actually to try and make her look friendlier to children. Yeah. Oh, she's also able to rip a man's throat out with her bare hands. Like, force alone, grab the throat, remove from body, barehanded. So that's
an icon. She is the moment. She's a legend.
Yes. That is hot. That's what I got for Huntress.
Artist is impressed by the hypothermia and starvation. Bucket says they would deadass run the fuck away, can't fight. But very impressed by ripping a man's throat out with bare hands.
Yes.
I don't think that I got anything different from that. I will say, as far as I know, her whole thing was like kidnapping little girls to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just be upfront. I'm gonna be flexible with that myself. When I start talking about who I think would actually be maybe the one survivor who could survive this.
By the way, I have survivor ages. I did that much research.
Yeah, good. I thought about it and I was like, definitely. Cammy is definitely getting Amazon warrior princess vibes. I love it. This is why I didn't know you named Huntress artist. I love her.
Yeah. She was my first love of DBD.
Oh, we have, how old is Zarina? We have a question.
Okay. So a lot of them don't have the absolute specific age. Some of them do. So based on the lore that I had, she would be in her 20s. Because she, I think it was because she got out of school at that point. So she would be in her 20s. Most of them are actually in their 20s. There's like a few outliers.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, who's it?
I would say, I think most of them are in their 20s. The Ace is probably like 40. Jeff's going gray. He's at least 35.
Ace is 50s, Ash is 50s, Tap is 50s, Bill is 60s. David is in his 30s. Let me figure out where Jeff was. Jeffrey, he's in his 30s. Adam's in his 20s. Like, most of this I'm going based on either the legal drinking age in their country, because a lot of these guys drink, or if it mentions that they were in or exiting college at the time, and assuming that they did not take a break between high school and college.
I think Nancy and Steve would probably be the youngest, wouldn't they?
Let me see. They put them between 18 and 19. Fang is about 18.
I think when they enter the game is supposed to be, like, canon-wise, after season 3. So I think they are like 18 or 19.
Quentin and Lori are actually the youngest that I could find at 17 years old.
Oh.
With Cheryl being 18.
That's right.
Fang 18, and then Nancy and Steve 18 or 19.
Is Lori supposed to be 17? Because they used older Lori from, like, later movies, not the first movie.
I think in the lore they actually mentioned that she was like a teenager babysitter.
Okay.
Hang on, yeah. Double check my thing here. Boop. I know, Lori looks old as fuck.
She really does. It legitimately looks like they used Lori from like one of the later movies from the 80s.
Lori is a typical teenager. Does her homework, is liked by friends, teachers, and family. She's a babysitter. So, she is in her teens.
Wow.
Yep.
That's notable.
I was gonna say, Quentin is one of the youngest ones, but the dude looks like 40.
It's because he doesn't sleep. That's what not sleeping does to you.
He's not the only one that doesn't sleep, though. There is, like, a myriad of survivors that don't fucking sleep. He has no excuse.
You think, pretty sure it's Lori. See, so I thought that the one cosmetic that Lori has where she looks like a grandma, that looks exactly like her uh first movie outfit, like when she's walking home with her friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that outfit definitely is from Halloween 1. The other ones feel like later Halloween. 38-year-old walks up, hello, fellow teenager. Sir, you know how much I love Steve Buscemi. Fane doesn't sleep a lot, you don't think? Yeah, probably not. She probably stays up really late gaming. All right.
Jane, I think, turned out to be in her 20s also.
Really? I would have pegged her for early 30s.
I mean, she could be late 20s, but
Interesting.
I'm if I don't get an exact age, I put like a decade.
That's fair.
Or college age. If I know for sure that they're in college.
Okay. So, let's see.
So we have laid our groundwork for our Huntress.
Yeah, artist. I was guessing Jane was like 27 to 32. Just guessing by like where she's at in her career. How long she worked to become an actress and when she finally like things took off.
So, I will mention that we are having the background be established as the killer's home turf. So this will be
When possible.
yeah, if it's possible, which would be putting everybody in a forest setting.
Yes, kind of a cabin in the woods
Yeah,
ish idea.
Elodie. It seems like she's in her 20s, but probably later in her 20s. Like her and Felix were pretty close together. Since they actually were friends before.
Yeah, I was thinking Elodie was like mid to late 20s.
Yeah. Yeah, most
Okay.
most of the cast looks to be in their 20s.
Yeah. Which is pretty standard for a horror movie, so
Yeah.
honestly, like not bad at all. Who do we want to start with?
Did you have anybody that stood out to you as this person's gonna die immediately? Like,
Bill.
who's gonna kick it off?
So okay, if it was a horror movie and like let's say they're like trying to establish the history of the Huntress and like how much she like would just torture men and everything. Bill. You can't have a dude wearing his fatigues all over the fucking place and think he's gonna walk through Huntress territory at any point and her not just have like World War One flashbacks while he has non-flashbacks. It would be very slow, but she would just destroy him as like an introduction that she's not done torturing people.
I did not think Bill would be the first one. I figured he would be a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has survived 2 tours in Nam and a zombie apocalypse, so dude's seen some shit and dude knows how to survive some shit. So
That's true.
even if she came after him, I feel like he would be able to meet up with the rest of the group and at least establish a bit of a base with them before she would get him. I don't think he's going to make it to the end, but I don't think he's going to be first man down.
So my only argument with that is, one, when he was actually at war in Vietnam, he's with others with similar training and experience that he can rely on better.
Mm-hmm.
Two, zombie apocalypse, all of his enemies are not at the intelligence caliber that Huntress is.
True.
And it's like he can just mow them down with a gun. Like, and they're just monsters or whatever. But Huntress is going to be, like, I'm imagining kind of like a one-on-one thing of her just... He's old. He could just snap. It should break him right in half. Like...
I don't think he's going to snap because, I mean, the man held his cigarette to the end.
I'm not saying off the cigarette.
Like, literally, he was laying on the ground, looking like he was broken, still smoking the cigarette, fingers still twitching. I actually think that Elodie would be the first one down.
Really?
So, the big reason why I think it's her is because, one, if you see the cutscene with her and the twin, she stands way too close to the killer for comfort.
She is the most adventurous, I would say.
Yeah.
Or, like, at least one of the most.
She likes to carry bags for exploring, which also establishes that she likes to go in and investigate the surroundings. And most importantly, she likes to pick shit up. So she is literally carrying a bag of goodies and finding all the good shit, which I feel like Huntress would be like, she's got some real nice shit there I could bring back to my babushka. And Elodie does not seem to have any kind of survival training at all. She's going down.
Bucket says that they suspected Kate or Meg to be the first down.
I looked at Meg, but I think she might actually, like, make it, because her only things that she was really showing in her lore was that she's got a lot of pent-up energy and she's very athletic.
Yes.
Kate is definitely a contender, though. Holy shit.
Oh, Cammy, we are in the Mother's Dwelling in the Red Forest. So, where possible, where they have a map, we're going to assume that we're on their map.
Yeah, Kate was definitely a contender because she was out in the woods singing with a giant fucking bonfire. The clown snuck up on her.
Yeah, Kate isn't going to last long.
She ignored her spidey senses. Did not notice giant spider monster grows into a glowing hole with said spider monster. Like, she's the one where you're screaming at the screen like, why are you so fucking stupid?
Kate is absolutely that one. Yeah, Huntress would sneak up on her so quick. And, like, honestly, I could see Huntress getting frustrated that, like, some of her mind games aren't even fucking working. Because she'll step on a twig, and Kate would just be like, cool beat.
Yeah. Like, even in the lore, like, she starts playing a beat because, like, the entity starts doing it. So
yes.
Can you imagine Huntress out there trying to fuck with her doing the lullaby, and then Kate's like, huh, do 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 do, and she's just like, what the fuck is this bitch doing?
And Cammy, I would assume that if she's able to pick them off one by one, she can just keep reusing the same hatchets. It's not like a one and done like in the actual game. So
I would go between Elodie and I would go between Kate, because Kate is definitely a contender from having no idea what's going on in her surroundings.
Yeah, I'm thinking some on Kate or Bill, so we can meet in the middle and say Kate first down.
Yes, Kate will be first down.
Or
so,
Kate.
First down.
And I remember I texted you and I was like, do we have to go through the one by one? Because I have like a blanket statement. I don't think any of the men are going to make it.
Yeah, there's a couple of the men that I'm like, these guys are fucking toast. I actually think Steve is a contender, but he's not going to make it to the end.
No. Steve is the type to just actually sacrifice himself
Yeah.
to try to help others. Like, he would just be like, if they were like held hostage in a basement scenario, he would be like, Six Pack, I'm gonna refund that to you. Sorry, I'm not singing during this. um, he would be the one to uh be like, hey, I'll distract her, knowing he's going to die.
There were actually a couple of them that were like, I'm going to dive in front, from what I could see.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, let me find it. Yui's gonna be toast. I'm just throwing that out there right now.
Why?
Okay, so there is the killer trailer for Oni. She pulls over,
Love artist.
gets off her bike, and tries to stand off with Oni. Like, she's got guts. She can take a hit. But in some cases, you just gotta run. And she did not do it. Um,
So, are you thinking? Because not that I was like, so Yui in my head isn't the one that I was like guaranteed definitely gonna live, but I could see Yui actually living. I could see Yui like actually fighting her way out, like away from the Huntress, and because like Oni is a fucking demon, and she had the balls. Huntress, while a fucking badass, is a person. Like, a buff person with weapons, but
yes.
Yui's not fucking afraid. Like, Yui would fight her. I don't know. I don't know if she would win. I think it would absolutely depend on like if we grouped up the survivors and said these were all in like these five would be in one movie, these five would be in a different movie with Huntress. Like one of those Yui would survive, the other she wouldn't.
I think Yui and Meg would inevitably be used as bait.
Bait. As in,
As in, we're going to try and lure her into a trap. Meg, start running, or Yui, do your Yui thing. Um, Also, I think David's going down early.
oh yeah.
Dude fucking looks for a fight. The moment he gets wind. Okay, so we'll establish here that Kate fucking dies, and everybody's like, well, shit, there's a killer on the loose in this forest. David is like, hot damn, I'm on my way.
And you know Ace is gonna be running the bets for it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Of like how long do you think he'll last before he dies?
Yeah, I
He
think
may be old, but he's super smart, determined, and resilient. I think he's too resilient. He would actually like she would beat him to death. He would not stop fighting until he was actually dead.
yeah. He would go out and try and start the fight. Like, everybody would be, like, getting together and, like, trying to figure out this shit that's going on. They're establishing their team leaders and their little factions, which I totally think that Felix and Claudette are going to end up in a party because he mentions that he really likes introverts. So the introverts club is just going to get right off to a good start. Jake's going to be, like, team leader of survival since he's an off-the-grid survivalist.
Team lead or just off his own, like only Jake team.
That is also a possibility. But
'Cause
David's gonna go straight. Like, the moment he finds out that she's out there, he's gonna go for it.
oh, Bucket, we were talking about David King. Let's see. Cammy said, I feel like Claudette would escape if it was night because she's quiet and can heal herself. Yes.
Actually, if you watch the trailer for Trapper, one, she fucking left Dwight to die, and two, she went into the basement. She hustled down into the basement, went into a locker, and squeaked the moment the killer fucking looked at her.
Which I will say, I think Claudette will make it pretty far. Specifically for that trait of leaving Dwight to die. And I think similarly, Dwight leaving which trailer was it where was it one of the Trappers trailers
Yeah.
where Claudette and Jake get caught by Trapper and Dwight's just like behind a tree like
Yeah, but in that one, Jake was team leader because Claudette like turned and looked, and he was like, "No, objective." And then she just
That's
stared
true.
off into space and was picked off because she has the spot check of a rock.
So I think Dwight and Claudette could make it pretty far, but simply because I don't think they would be the first one to like jump up to help everybody. They'd be very focused on their own survival. I think that's what'll
Yeah.
get them far, but it also could be their detriment because they won't have a team backing them up.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it could get to the end and you have, I don't know. Even though we're saying she'll probably die anyway, Yui and Claudette, like, Yui might say, I would fight the Huntress, but not for you. You let everybody die. Like,
That is true, yeah.
I still think Jake would be a misfortune on his own. Literally nobody knew. Like, he's just out living in the woods. Huntress finds him. End of story. I know he's a survivalist and everything, but I think once he gets caught in that scenario, I think he's pretty done for.
Well, let's try and establish who would leave the group then. Because I feel like that's what's going to happen. She'll pick off the stragglers. So who's going to leave?
Who would leave?
Who would leave?
Jake.
All right, Jake's going to leave.
I feel like I need like a marker of like red X's to be like.
Let's.
I think Ace would say some corny line like, "I'll take my bets or I'll gamble on my life" and walk out the fucking door. Bucket says Meg. We did have a question they
Nia's
want to
gonna
know.
leave.
Do what now?
I think Nia's gonna leave. As much as I
Yeah,
hate
I
to
was-
say it, she's gonna take off without them, and she's gonna go.
I was leaning toward Nia as well. I think Zarina would never. Zarina and Tap, I think, would actually be the ones that are just like almost forcing people to stick together and like be a team.
Yeah.
They would be the ones that are like, no, guys, we can't, like, nobody can leave. We need to have a formulated plan of action to, like, Ash would too, maybe. Ash might, but I don't know, because I feel like I've only ever seen, like, bits and pieces of Evil Dead to really know kind of, like, his lore. He is kind of a loner, but he also, like, will stick around through the situation entirely. So I think, like,
He also likes to show off, but showing off
does.
can get people killed.
Especially when you have someone who specifically will just rip a man to shreds, like.
Like, his lore literally said that he read the Necronomicon to a girl to show off, which caused a bunch of bullshit to happen. He fucking hits on, like, a spectral lady who tries to stab him, and he does, like, he wins that fight, but she's like, alright, fine, I'll let you out. You just have to repeat after me, and we're gonna say this incantation. He couldn't even fucking do that right. She's like, repeat after me, and he couldn't do it.
Dang.
But yeah, I think everybody would stick together, but Jake, Nia, and David. And they would be picked off.
What about Quentin? I feel like Quentin might.
I don't think he would.
Or, you know what? She's new. I think we may have forgotten her. Yunjin.
She's not going anywhere.
Are you sure? I think she would go off on her own. I think she would tell everybody, "You can stay here and die and leave, and then die as a result."
I think she would try and use everybody else as a meat shield.
That's fair.
Because she in her lore, she had a good solid feeling that Trickster was fucking killing everybody. But she was like, you know what, this is fine. It's not affecting me. I'm in good shape. And yeah. She just kinda let it happen. So I think she might actually like, you know how a lot of horror movies have that cliche like bad team leader where they're telling everybody what to do and everybody's just getting really annoyed about it? I feel like that might be her.
Ooh. Okay. Who do you think would like fight her? Because there has to be that one person who's just like, you're getting everybody killed. It's time that I take charge.
Okay, so David's gonna fight her, but he's gonna be eliminated like real quick. I
So what?
I think that Steve will try and fight her if it comes down to it. Ash is definitely gonna try and fight her, like hands down. Ash is gonna have a go. Um, Tap is probably gonna fight her, but he's not going to do it until he thinks he's got like a win condition.
Hmm.
Bill will try and fight her to save everybody else.
I'm assuming Bill's just already gone. Sorry, I'm still with like Bill and Kate being like very first dead.
um,
Also, hello, Lukey. I'm so here's a scene that like just popped into my head that I was just imagining
okay.
of like, let's say they're all being held hostage in the little cabin, little Huntress's cabin or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Mhm.
Yunjin so far has been calling the shots and getting people killed.
Yeah.
Like we've had Jake and Nia and Quentin who all left. I forget who else we said was like a loner type.
Quentin, I don't think is gonna leave.
Quentin, you don't think he's gonna leave? He'll just be quiet little boy staying around.
Okay, so in his lore, he actually
Oh
spends
wait,
most. Yeah, go
before we
ahead.
go to Quentin. Okay. Basically, Yunjin's calling bad shots, getting people killed. I think Tap would actually step up and be like, listen, you're gonna get everybody hurt. We need to come up with some better plans. They're gonna fight. I think Yunjin would actually like leave and she'd be like, okay, you guys can just die without me
Yeah,
then. And leave. I think Tap would die very quickly after that, at which point Zarina would assume the role as the group leader.
I think if Yunjin like tried to like stand up to Tap, I'm pretty sure that Yui's gonna put her foot up her ass. Like
Yes.
she might not take team leader, but she will definitely enforce it, especially if she has been pissed off to this point and is like, give me a fucking reason.
I would love that. And then Yui just becomes like Zarina's like captain
Yes.
of the ship. And they're just like this power like duo of like nobody's gonna go against them. They're formulating like the perfect plan. It can't possibly go wrong. It will, because it's a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
Um of how everybody's just gonna make it out.
Oh, also Jeff. I think Jeff is going to leave. He might not leave immediately, but I think he's going to.
With good intentions.
Because
I think Jeff would leave thinking that he could find help for everybody. And he's going to do it alone because he feels it would be safer to go alone, but
he will
ultimately
not
his demise.
he will not he will not make it far
No.
because his lore specifically mentions that he smells pretty badly of beer. So literally he's gonna step outside of that, Huntress is gonna catch a whiff and he's down.
It's going to be the drunkenness that'll make him think that he can actually go far.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
We
so-
haven't talked yet about Cheryl or Nancy.
All right. So Cheryl, let me add that she is around 18 years old at this point. She is a crisis hotline operator. So I think that she's going to spend a lot of time keeping everybody from going and losing their shit. Used to be called Heather.
Yeah.
She's used to having nightmares, being followed by a cult. She's very cautious. When she's trying, like, when she knows she's in trouble, she's actually very cautious and she'll crack a door and try and see outside of it before she steps out. So she's actually very careful, from what I could see.
So what you're saying is, you think Cheryl would be the actual survivor?
I am leaning towards that, yes.
Okay, we can talk about her toward the end
I'm
if
gonna
you want to
put her
save.
in our little final girl basket, if you would.
Can you put Meg there for me? But we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Get my final girl basket. Cheryl and Meg.
We can debate about who will actually be the final girl.
Yeah.
Buckets list is Cheryl, Yui, Zarina, Meg, and Claudette. I think Claudette would end up kind of going off on her own and getting hurt.
Claudette is toast just from any trailer that you see her in. Any trailer.
Yeah, unfortunately. I do want to say, just to put it out there, I know the trope is very often the people of color die first. I'm not going to ascribe to that trope for this series.
Yeah, that one's off the table.
Yeah. Who do we have left though? We haven't talked about Fang, Adam, Nancy.
Oh, Quentin. Let me mention Quentin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you had something about Quentin. And hello, Trins. Thank you so much for the follow.
Okay, the reason why I think Quentin is going to get farther and he's not going to leave is he literally does not sleep. So her sleep tactics are not really going to work on him. He is pretty easy to ignore, so they might not even realize he's in the cabin with them.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, he prefers to learn about the problem and then set up traps. So, in his lore, he was talking about where he was setting up a trap for Freddy, he was going to kill him, and he was going to try and leave, but then he heard the screaming of others and didn't leave because he wanted to save them. So I don't think he's going to leave unless it's a situation of we're going to starve to death and we need food, and Quentin's like, I'll do it.
So that scenario I mentioned earlier, where I was like, Steve would be the one to be like, I'll be a distraction and sacrifice myself. Could you see Quentin being the type of being like, I'll go with you?
Yeah, and Steve having no idea that he came outside with him. Just
Yeah.
loses him in the woods. Let's see. We didn't mention Jane too much. Or Dwight.
Or Lori. Or Felix.
Felix.
So remember you said you had ideas for Felix, I'm assuming because he's German.
He is German, and she has spent a lot of time killing Russians and Germans. So he's not going to make it.
A very quick death.
Yeah, he's literally gonna walk outside and say something. Like, he could be in the middle of a cluster of people and she's gonna pick him out.
So hold on. So Dwight, Lori, Jane, Nancy, Adam,
Fang.
and Fang.
Yeah. Who do you want to start with?
Ooh. Let's start with my girl Nancy.
Okay. There's
Honestly,
Nancy.
potential for final girl, but I wouldn't put her there. I think she would be like the dupe final girl.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like you think that one's gonna, because she's so smart, right? Very, very headstrong, perseveres and everything. you think watching the movie, you'd be like, this girl's the one. She's gonna make it to the end. And then, like, something just absolutely horrifically tragic happens. Like, she falls off of the balcony of the cabin trying to find a way out or something. Like, she basically, like, her smarts get in the way.
I think she'll die by
Ultimately, her
accident.
downfall. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't think the Huntress would actually, like, kill her.
Yeah.
I think she's young enough that, like, she could have potentially been like the Huntress being like, I'll keep you as my older daughter. You'll help take care of the little babies.
Yeah, she has a very young looking face, so I feel like Huntress might actually attempt to adopt her, and she's going to die by accident. Or possibly as a result of another survivor fucking up.
Yeah. Somebody fucking up or her like I said, trying to escape and just falling off that balcony or something and falling onto a pile of hatchets. Whatever.
Or a Yunjin pushing her in the way of a hatchet coming in.
She's like Luigi to Mario. She's just second place. Yep, Nancy's the second place girl. Robin, welcome Robin, by the way, pointed out that Laurie's the only one that has experience close combat killers, which I would argue Bill also has that experience, but I'm assuming Bill's already gone. Laurie does have, with like a one-on-one serial killer scenario, she does have that experience.
There's a lot of butts in this one.
I know.
First off, she looks out the window and sees the guy. She does not leave the house, nor does she leave the room that she's in. He gets in the house, and she runs to the door and quickly slams it and makes a noise, pressing her face against it. And we have heard the breathing of Michael Myers. You can probably hear him on the other side of the door. And as it pans back from the house, you can see that she can open the window, hop out onto the roof and escape. But no, she just presses her face against the door, and the two of them are just breathing together.
Cammy, none of them are cheerleaders. I think the closest one is probably Meg, just because she was a jock in high school. But like Artist said, Kate is kind of cheerleader type, and we agreed Kate is first dead.
Yeah, she's toast. Yes, Alex, that is hot.
She only went against dumb killers, whereas Hag is smart through traps, so she outsmart those. Yes. Well, we're talking about Huntress right now. So if she was going against Huntress in a horror movie.
Yeah, and Myers is kind of a slow burn when he goes to kill somebody. So she kind of has some processing time.
Like the whole stalking aspect that Myers does, like just standing outside your window, watching you and everything. Huntress would have already thrown a hatchet straight through.
Yes. There would be no happy breathing time at the door. There would just be a hatchet in your head as you hang off of the door.
Like a whole The Shining, here's Johnny, like.
Yes.
Plus, Laurie is very timid as far as being around, like, within the groups of other people. I know at least from, like, the first movie, she was very shy. Like, her friends kind of just, like, called all the shots for everything, and she was just like, to the book, we should do this. The Huntress says we can't leave, guys, we really shouldn't leave, maybe we'll find a way out.
I'm just imagining her, like, listening to her lullaby and interpreting it, going, yep, yep, yep. She says we can't leave. That's exactly what the lullaby says.
It's safer in here than it is out there. Because I think she would probably realize that the people that are leaving aren't coming back.
Yeah.
She would be the one to say it's safer in here than it is out there.
Yeah. Like, I don't think she's going to leave that house for a second.
Nah. Cammy says we should do a D&D DBD crossover and see who would really survive. Fang.
Alright, Fang. We are looking at about 18 years old on Fang.
I was about to say, Fang's another one. I think kind of a Nancy situation. I think they're very similar.
I think Fang should go in the final girl basket.
Okay.
Just from
Well,
the fact that she looks so young.
yeah, we can put her in the final girl basket.
Okay, so put Fang in there. The other reason I wanted to put her in the final girl basket is because she is used to not sleeping or eating.
Ooh, that's a good one.
She struggles under pressure, but she holds out for a long period of time before she actually starts to break down, and she can still perform, she just can't perform well. The downside is she sucks at hiding. Like, there's a literal
But,
cutscene where she hides behind the generator that's making the noise.
but I will say, hiding against Huntress isn't the strategy either. Because usually, if you're hiding, you're on your own. We've already established
Yeah.
Huntress is really good picking them off one by one.
Mm-hmm.
So, with hiding not even being the strategy, I don't think that's actually even a hindrance to Fang. And I think, honestly, with her being one of the youngest survivors, um, she stands a better chance of the Huntress knowing she's there and that she exists.
Mm-hmm.
But she's going to be a final girl. We'll put her on the final girl list. We'll move on before we'll do final girl list like at the end.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think there's gonna be a final boy. Like they're
Not for this one, not
yeah,
for Huntress.
they're not gonna make it.
No. Like I said at the beginning, I was like, just a blanket statement. All the guys are gone. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
so Adam.
All right.
I
Adam
don't
was
know
actually
what
kind of a sweetheart.
he is.
He's not athletic. He's a bookworm. He is exceptionally altruistic to the point where he saved a girl from dying as a train was turning over. Like, I mean, she probably died anyway, but it's a thought that counts. And he also carries a lighter. But the downside is he relies on it for light, like, constantly. Adam was a teacher, yes.
The cat just fucking zoomed. But yes, that was Catan.
Don't mind that.
Yeah, so Adam is incredibly smart. I would say he is easily the smartest person in the entire group.
I could see that.
And I think Huntress is equally one of the smartest killers.
Yeah.
But with her having the upper hand, I don't think he could outsmart her. I think when we discuss other killers, I think he's going to last longer
Yeah.
than he is against a Huntress.
I think Adam survives for as long as the group stays together.
Yeah, as soon as things start falling apart, he's toast.
Yeah.
Now, when we start getting like Trapper or somebody, I think Adam stands a good chance of being a potential final boy, but
Yeah.
not against Huntress. Yeah, as like you said, once the group starts the discourse and starts disbanding,
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be the one that's actually gonna be like that pays for it the most.
Yeah.
Amy says, if I was in a horror film, I would just leave, walk in a straight line, and run preferably downhill. I would be the dumb bitch going to the basement. Like,
No one's gonna look for me down here.
right? And then there's literally no way out. Like,
All right. And then Dwight
yes, forgot about him.
has no charisma. He is completely blind without glasses, is used to blending in and not being noticed, and is an absolute coward.
I think on like I said earlier, like similar to Claudette, kind of like a weaker Yunjin, where he's really only going to benefit while other people are dying.
Mm.
similar to Adam as well. Once the group starts splitting up, I think he'll pay for it. I'm not nearly as devastated. I wouldn't be nearly as sad with Dwight as I would be with Adam. Yeah, I don't see him lasting very long at all. He would be like
Oh no, I got
the
a
group
box.
staying together, then they start splitting off. He doesn't know the fuck to do, and she finds him. Like, it would be that kind of a scenario. If he wasn't, I feel like Felix would be with Adam for sure. If he wasn't German, I think Felix would last long. Yeah, I could see if Felix was still alive, him and Adam teaming up. That would be really cool. But yeah, Felix would die very, very early on.
Yeah.
Felix would just be like, Guten Morgen. And, dead. Okay.
I know. Want to become famous?
Also, as a character in DVD, I would never make it. I studied engineering, no clue how to actually fix anything. I studied theater, so even less useful. Other than what I'll talk about later when we get to End Girls. Or Last Girls, or whatever. So, Jane. We haven't talked about Jane yet, right?
I don't think we've talked about her too much. Jane, where are you?
I could almost see Jane being part of the few that just go off on their own.
I could see that. I don't think Jane's gonna be an end girl.
No, not for this one.
She looks very mature for her age. So I think that, like, she has no chance of the Huntress being like, I'm gonna let this one slide. So she doesn't seem to have any kind of fighting skills. She's got a natural charm, but Jane doesn't speak the language of the Huntress either. So it's understood that Huntress can understand Russian. So
yes,
the natural charm will only go so far. So personally, I think second person down is going to be David. I really do.
David dying early on.
Because I could see Bill going down possibly next, because like the group gathers and they're like, we got to figure out what the fuck is going on, and Bill's like, don't worry, I survived two trips to Nam.
When we say David, we mean David King.
Yes.
For Tap, we'll say Tap.
I usually call him Detective Tap.
Yeah. And Robin said that Jane's need for the story would get the best of her. And yeah. I think that could actually also be like Zarina's downfall too.
True.
No, Zarina's downfall is just trying to be the leader and then hubris.
I've snuck into a prison before. I'm fine.
Do we want to talk about Final Girls?
I think we need to wait until we get to that point. Like we can talk about what we think the scenario is going to be as we go. We need to start killing some people.
Okay.
To get to that point.
Okay. So Kate's first dead.
Kate's toast.
Immediately opener, Kate dead.
Yes.
Roll opening credits.
Yes.
Felix and Elodie.
I think that they may make it to the point where the group is getting together.
Okay, so
like I really do think that David, like if he hears her scream, David's going to go and find out what it is. Like he likes to
Here's who scream.
What?
Here's who scream.
Kate.
Okay. That's fair.
He's like, there's a fight going on over there. Off he goes. And he is established to be a fast boy because in one of the cutscenes, he actually ran faster than Legion.
Oh shit, that's true, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Felix would definitely try to flirt with Huntress and try to make fun of her gash. But ultimately, it's the German accent that gets him killed.
Yeah. She has no idea what he's saying. She just staring at him like, I find him strangely attractive. Up, the accent. Poof.
Felix would be the actual one that, like, showcases her ripping someone's throat out.
Yes. Either that or Ash. Because I could see Ash aggressively hitting on her. And she aggressively murdering him in return.
Nah, I couldn't see Ash doing that. How the fuck can Susie carry big bitch Jeff? The motherfucker is like 6'5" and 260. Because Susie is a little tank. That's how. Okay. So Kate's dead. David goes and runs off to, like, find out what's going on. David's dead.
Yes. At that point, I think everybody is going to start to gather. And I think Bill will be the one sent out on recon. Nia's just gonna fucking leave.
Nia and Jake immediately are just like, fuck this shit. I don't trust any of y'all.
Yes, they're gonna peace out.
But also go separate ways, not together.
Right.
Maybe have a moment where Nia's like, why are you fucking following me?
Like, I think Nia's not gonna be the first one dead when they all go out there because she is said to be very cat-like. So yeah. She might not make as much noise and she's used to hiding from people.
And I think...
yeah, good.
I think Jake knows enough of the land to just, like, not get immediately lost or anything.
Yes. So I think Bill is number 3. Dies attempting recon. So I'm going to put number 1, Kate dies, stupidity. David dies, tries to fight Huntress. Bill dies during recon. Okay.
Jake and Nia die off screen.
Yeah.
Just... Who else did we say wandered off on their own? I know Jane, but I think she's a later one who wanders off.
I think Jeff will wander off later on too, but not immediately.
Okay. So we have everyone else who's grouped up. We gotta start killing people. Here. At this point, the big group, this is when Yunjin tries to become the leader, right?
Yes. So Yunjin's gonna try and set something up, and it's going to end poorly.
I think probably with Felix and or Elodie dying.
I think she could easily get Elodie killed. I think Felix is probably going to be a little pissed at her still. I just have this feeling.
So what if she gets Elodie killed and then Felix just like... Because that's his friend and he's so mad she got him killed and he warns everybody Yunjin's going to get everyone killed and then he leaves.
Yeah. I could also see... Okay, so one of the things that is mentioned in Elodie's lore is that she is an occult investigator. Mm-hmm. So there's a possibility that she might think that it's a ghost or something and heads out, and then the Huntress kills her to take her shit for her babushka.
Ooh. I like that.
So I think Elodie dies attempting investigation.
I think Felix was trying to go find her.
Is robbed. Followed by Felix. Warns everyone that Yunjin will kill them. Tries to find...
Maybe Huntress can overlook the accent for how thick Felix is.
If he's wearing his little orange jumpsuit.
He's just wearing a ski outfit and she's like, that dump truck though. A whole bakery. Oh wow. God. So Yunjin's assumed the role as leader.
Yes.
Elodie is just like, hey, I think it's some occult shit. Goes out to explore, dies. I like the idea of Felix literally blaming Elodie's like death or disappearance on Yunjin.
Yes.
And like setting that stage of you guys can't trust her, and he leaves and dies
Yes.
for it. Even if it's so much as like he literally walks out the door and Huntress is there and just like rips his throat out like in front of
Yeah.
everybody. Um,
Like,
do we want anybody else to leave before we have the whole Yunjin's exiled Tap and Serena take over?
hang on, let me, I'm clearing out the people on my notes. I'm moving them to the bottom of the page as they die off. Let's see. So,
Huntress Pigs Felix 2021. I love it. I support it. That's gonna be the Pornhub version of this movie.
oh my god. Okay, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
clear out.
Dwight's alive still. Yes.
Yeah, Dwight's not gonna fucking leave that group.
Uh-uh.
Dude's too much of a bitch. He's gonna cling to them. Like, he might get somebody else killed because he refuses to leave them alone, but um let's see. Lori's gonna be fine, she's inside. Quentin's gonna be fine, nobody even knows he's in there.
Ash.
Cheryl is trying to keep everybody calm because she's got experience as a crisis hotline operator. I feel like Ash is probably pissing everybody off. Like, Ash is in danger of being kicked from the cabin. Jeff might be leaving because
I was about to say this might be a point where either Jeff or Jane leave.
well, Jeff is specifically mentioned as having severe anxiety and preferring to be alone. So the fact that there's so many arguments going on with Yunjin, I think he might actually bail because it's just he's getting too anxious and he needs to leave.
That's fair. And he's gonna die because he just gets picked off.
Yes, and he also smells like beer. Jeff leaves the drama, dies.
At what point does Ace die? I don't think we ever said Ace died. And is Ace the last girl?
I don't see him leaving is the thing. Like, I
Yeah.
struggled to find a lot of stuff about Ace other than the fact that he's a gambler and he's very charming.
He literally let a woman beat him for 5 minutes just to win a bet. Like a fucking like MMA professional fighter beating his ass to the ground just so he didn't lose. I think it was like an alligator tooth or something stupid.
I think he's gonna die to sarcasm then.
Not so much sarcasm. Like he's just like if he wants to win something, he's not gonna give up.
Like, if somebody makes a passing comment, like, I bet you wouldn't last, like, 5 minutes out there. He's like, bet.
And then he just leaves to to try to last 5 minutes, and Huntress actually kills him.
Yeah. Like, literally opens the door, hatchet.
So I think after... At what point do we want that to happen? Do we want that to happen right after Jeff leaves, or do we want to hang on to Ace for a little bit?
I think hold on to Ace for a little bit longer, because I don't think it's reached the point where people are, like, getting argumentative like that yet. They have a focus right now, and her name is Yunjin.
So at what point does Tap try to take control of the group and accuse Yunjin of getting people killed?
I think when Felix points it out, they're gonna start thinking like, okay, this isn't good. And then when they hear Felix die, and then they're like, fuck, where did Jeff go? And then they're like,
Bucket,
okay.
please make it into a manga. This would be great.
Or we could also have it where she sends somebody out to try and set something up, like, as a last ditch effort to regain everybody's, like, trust, that she, like, takes one of the the smarter guy's plans and send somebody out knowing that it's gonna fuck up. Like trying to get somebody out of the way that
What if
is in
Adam had a plan?
competition.
What if Adam had a plan and she steals it and it backfires and he feels guilty about that because it was actually his plan
Okay.
and everybody turns on her?
Plot twist. So, I think, let's see, who would try and pull this crap? Jane's not going to say anything. Dwight's not going to say anything.
I think Ace and Ash are going to be your loudest spoken of who's left. And Meg.
Who would possibly challenge her authority other than Zarina
Tap.
and Tap?
Other than Zarina and Tap?
Yeah. Would Ash try and take over?
No. Ash doesn't like being being the leader just happens to fall upon Ash. He doesn't necessarily want it. Maybe Nancy? Maybe.
What about Steve? Wait. Okay. So everybody at this point is getting a little bit, like, suspicious of her.
Because we lost Elodie, Felix, and Jeff.
So, like, yeah, they lost a couple people. Felix specifically pointed her out. So she's like, okay. So she takes Adam's plan and decides, you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to, like, she phrases it as, like, this is our last ditch effort. At which point we have our first boy step up to try and help, which is going to be the cataclysm to make them finally yeet her out of the group.
Steve?
I was thinking Steve.
People are already... before you said that, Bucket was like, Steve would def do some stupid stunt.
So Steve would go out to try and do this plan to save everybody. I fought a Demogorgon. I'll be okay, surely. And he goes out and he dies, which is obviously going to make Nancy absolutely heartbroken. So that will actually rally the troops. I mean, let's be honest, that sailor's outfit is the only thing keeping them together.
And it's at this point after Steve's death that Tap basically tells Yunjin, you're not calling the shots anymore.
Yes.
And Yunjin tells them, then you guys are on your own.
Or tries to argue and Yui puts her foot up her ass.
Yui puts her foot up her ass and then Yunjin says, you guys are on your own.
Yes.
And departs. And Yunjin is dead.
So, Yunjin gets the boot from the group. Now,
you're fighting against a Victor Hook camping twins. Gross. I'm sorry, artist.
I will say that after that, I think Adam probably will be the next one to volunteer because he would feel bad for Steve.
Yeah, the guilt trip.
Yeah. So
of Adam trying another plan.
Oh my god, this plot, yeah, right? We should make a movie. Okay, so we are getting down here. So I feel like Claudette has just been kind of blending into the whole situation. Jane's just being friendly but not saying a whole lot. Dwight is just keeping his head down. Meg has been pacing this cabin to the point that there's like a fucking runway.
Meg is having like cabin fever. Like she's going fucking bonkers. For one, being surrounded by all these people she doesn't know. She probably doesn't fucking like them.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's crowded. She can't go anywhere. Like, she's losing her mind. But she's not going to leave because she's also not stupid.
Lori is perfectly fine. She's in her element. Inside. Quentin he's more or less doing fine. He's trying to figure out how to help everybody. Trying to figure out how everybody might be dying out there. Is trying to think of traps. But he blends in. Nobody's really noticing him. Cheryl is still running the crisis hotline in the cabin.
Trying to calm people down.
Everybody stay calm.
I could see Cheryl and Nancy kind of teaming up to like just make sure people are okay
Yeah,
and staying calm. Also, Bucket, I'm not taking notes, but I think Zen is.
I am. Yes.
And the VODs will stay up for a while if you want to go back for reference at all.
Tap and Zarina are gonna take over the command.
Mm-hmm.
Ace has just been his charming self. Ash, I think, has got to be pissing off the entire cabin.
Either Ash or I think so. I think after Tap and Zarina take over command, Adam's got to die somehow. Ash is right behind him, and I think Jane will depart shortly thereafter.
Yeah. I think Fang is fine. She's used to being inside.
Yeah.
Adam is feeling really sad. Nancy's working with Cheryl to keep everybody calm. Yui is very proud of herself from having put the boot up Yinjin's ass and is like, has the happiest smug look on her face. So now we need to figure out what plan they come up with next.
Is it going to potentially involve Yui fighting Huntress?
Maybe down the line. Like, I feel like once it gets to the point where they're like, we don't have a lot of us left, they're going to do like a last ditch effort to try and set a trap for her, and I think Meg or Yui will be the bait.
It's gonna have to be Yui because I got Meg making it to the end.
And then at that point, like when the last ditch effort occurs, that's when the group's gonna split.
What if Nancy dies while they're setting up the trap?
I think Nancy's gonna meet Huntress.
Yeah?
And she's just gonna leave her. Like,
Okay.
literally, she turns around and sees her. The axe is raised. And she lets her go. Which, in that case, that might be how Tap dies. Maybe he sees her going for Nancy, not realizing that she's not going to kill her, and then fucking dies trying to save her when she wasn't in danger.
Yeah. I could see that. At what point do we want that to happen, though?
I think that's going to be when they're in their last-ditch effort.
Okay.
I think Adam's going to be like, look, I have one other plan. I don't want anybody else to get hurt from this. I'm going to go and try and do this myself. And then Adam's not going to make it.
Okay.
Now, the question here is, at what point does Ash just go out and do his own thing because everybody else is not doing very good?
I think they kick Ash out.
If we're doing such a bad job, why don't you just go fucking do it? Okay, so I think Adam's gonna die.
Adam's gonna die as a result of the restructure.
Plan / self-sacrifice. Restructure. And again, I think Ash is gonna say some smart-ass comment, and they're gonna be like, look, if you think you can do better, have at it.
No, the Discord is not set up or public right now. I'm sorry. Sorry, what was that about Ash?
I think Ash is gonna make like a smart-ass comment, and they're gonna be like, look, if you think you can do better, then you go out there. And then he does. And then he loses more than a hand.
Okay. I like that.
So
it's Adam, then Ash.
Ash dies from smartass comment leaving.
So what point do Claudette and Dwight die as a result of no longer being able to rely on other people dying?
I think when they do their big last ditch effort, which they might be able to do now because they're getting a little low. I think Dwight's going to fail. Like they're going to give him a role and he's not going to do it. He's going to get scared and he's going to leave. And that's how he dies.
Do we still have Ace alive?
Yes.
Okay. So I know you mentioned it earlier about them coming up with a last ditch effort. Was that like setting a trap to catch Huntress?
Yeah, I think that they're finally going to notice Quentin because, there's only so many people left in the cabin. They're bound to see him eventually. And he's going to be like, hey, let's try this and, like, have this elaborate trap set up. Which, what is it? Tap has done a lot of information gathering. So he might actually work with them and try and, like, set up a way to watch from the cabin, like learn her methods before they actually go out, and then they're gonna try and catch her.
Okay.
And I think they're gonna use bait.
So I like the idea of Nancy dying by accident. And I think it would be when they're setting stuff up. Because she's not on the final girl list. We have Meg, Yui, and Cheryl, right?
Right. We agreed that she would get close, but not quite.
Okay, so she needs to live a little bit longer then. Ace. Ace is the bait.
Ace is the bait.
Ace is the bait. Someone fucking makes some comment of like, we'll give you $20 when this is all over. And Ace is like, make it 40.
All right. How would they try and catch her? How would they try and put her down?
They would have to. I feel like they would have to put some sort of a trap outside the door, which is a shame. Honestly, it's a shame that Jake would have left so early on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would imagine some sort of like a rope trap that she could step in, and it would just like knock her down.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll just be like, Ace, all you gotta do is just like go out there, yell some things, get her to come inside, but before she gets inside, the plan is like she's gonna step into this rope, get trapped. And at that point, there's more of them than there is of her. She's at a disadvantage. Surely they can.
I have a thought.
Okay.
They use Claudette because as a kid, she always loved chemistry. And she liked plants and rocks.
Ooh.
So theoretically, she might be the one, like, she might be able to make something that's flammable.
What would they do?
So they would use Ace as the bait. They'd have to put him, like, inside of something so she can't hit him with a hatchet. So she'd have to get within close range. And then possibly try and light her on fire.
Then he catches on fire and burns alive.
Ooh, God.
I had too big of a smile when I said that.
Yes, you did.
Thought I would break a glass or something and draw attention, and Yui would, like, get a sharp-ass stick and stab him. So, Ace is the bait. Okay, I know we talked about, like, not bringing perks or whatever into the discussion.
Yeah.
But I do just want to point out, like, lore-wise, I guess, because a lot of the add-ons tie into the killer lore.
Mm-hmm.
Huntress has those poisonous mushroom add-ons.
She does.
And so Claudette could use her knowledge to see like poisonous mushrooms being stored around the cabin
Ooh.
and say, hey, like if we could find a way to either, coat a weapon in like the secretion or whatever it is of the mushroom, or feed it to her or something, get it in her, this could at best kill her, at worst to knock her out. And then they're like, Ace, you're a sleight of hand kind of a dude. A little scummy.
Try and get her close.
Yeah. Venomous concoction and ammonia something. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, artist. So if Claudette's just like kind of minding her own business and then she notices like, oh my gosh, she has all of these poisonous plants around. If we could just get her close enough.
Ace of bait. Okay.
And Ace maybe, I don't know who would have a weapon of some sort. But if somebody has like a small knife or something, probably Yui. Let's be real. Yui probably has like a switchblade or something. And they can get that lined, and they're like, all you have to do is just stab her, and after a few minutes, she'll go down. But he doesn't even manage to get that. Huntress will just kill him before he has the chance.
Would they come up with a backup? Like, in the event that Ace fails, I feel like that's when Yui's going to try and shine. Like, if Ace fails and comes after her, if she comes after Ace, and he's clearly not going to make it, like, Yui's the fail-safe.
Hold on, I need to go back.
Okay.
They're gonna use one of Lori's knitting needles.
Oh, there we go.
That's what it is. And yes, okay, go on now. Sorry.
So, well, if we're going to use the knitting needles, then Ace is going to have one, Yui's going to have the other one. So if she catches Ace and he can't complete the mission, then Yui's in charge of running in and shanking the bitch with the other one.
Huntress would literally use Ace as a weapon.
Yeah, probably.
And just chuck him right at Yui as she's running in to knock her down.
I feel like Yui's quick enough to dodge that, though.
Oh yeah, but it's still gonna buy Huntress time to free her hands to get a hatchet.
I think Huntress is gonna fight her one-on-one.
Yes.
She's not gonna attack her from a distance when she's literally got this small thing walking up to her, staring her dead in the fucking eye. Like, that is going to be an instance where they actually fight.
I love it.
And everybody else is going to start piecing out at that point. Like,
so,
she's occupied, let's leave.
So Ace dies because the plan fails.
Ace dies from bet/plan fails.
Yui is gonna die in an actual hand-to-hand fight.
Dies in a fight. Which leaves the rest of them. So we're gonna...
And the group starts to disband.
Yes. So
Adam feels so guilty.
Adam's already dead.
Oh, Adam's already dead?
Yeah, we killed him already.
Oh, that's right. When they were trying to set up his second plan.
Yeah.
So, I think it's at this point, like, Dwight and Claudette are done for shortly after.
I think that Tap might be the next one to go.
Okay.
Because I think that's going to be the point when Huntress lets Nancy live, but Tap tries to save her, not knowing she's not in danger.
And just hatch it right to the skull.
Yep. So I think Tap's going to die trying to save Nancy.
So it's nothing to do with survival, but I feel like when Yui gets older, she would be a wine aunt and teach the grandkids how to ride her old dirt bike. Oh, that would be adorable.
So Tap is trying to save Nancy. Who
They've already kicked Ash out, right?
Not in danger. Yeah, Ash is gone.
Okay. So we are left with Dwight, Meg, Claudette, Lori, Fang, Quentin, Jane, Nancy, Zarina, and Cheryl.
I think Dwight's gonna kill Nancy. Because
Like
he's a little
get her killed.
bitch. Yeah. So like if he sees Huntress coming, he might hide behind her or pull her in front of him. And she'll die, and then the Huntress is just gonna fucking murder him in a rage.
Still like the idea. I'm stuck on Nancy dying by accident.
Okay.
So what if? So
Yes.
they kind of split off into like smaller groups or something. Nancy and Dwight get like paired up or whatever, because she's just like, "Hey, you seem quiet," and her and Cheryl have been doing the whole like mental health checks the whole time.
I think Dwight's just gonna follow her.
Okay, so Dwight just follows her or whatever. If she slips and just like falls down into a ravine or a pit or something, because I don't know, maybe they're walking along the edge of where there's like, you know how usually in like woods there'll be like a sudden drop off that just
Yeah.
goes not necessarily a cliff, but like there's trees and rocks all the way down, you're not gonna make it. uh Dwight's at fault here, but say he loses his footing and goes to grab Nancy. She's a little fucking twig. She can't support him. Um, he manages to be able to use her to like get his balance back, but as a result, she trips and just goes down.
Oh my god.
And then he feels so bad about it, but he decides he's not going to tell anybody he ever murdered somebody. And then Huntress just like happens to be behind them because she was following Nancy to make sure she was okay or something like,
Oh no. I just got chills on that one.
and just Dwight gets broken in half. Huntress sees Dwight, he ducks, Huntress swings her axe into someone. Ooh, that's another way to go. I think whatever it is, Nancy's going to be an unintentional death at the result of Dwight.
Yeah. I actually like the tripping and falling because I don't know that he's got the reflexes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that is actually more realistic that he would accidentally drag her down because he's panicking.
Yes. And Huntress just happens to be there because she was trailing them because it's Nancy. And she was like, I remember her. I like her.
Mm-hmm.
That's my babushka.
Huntress kills him out of rage. Okay, so we have now eliminated Dwight and Nancy.
So we have Meg, Claudette, Lori, Fang, Jane, Zarina, and Cheryl. So Lori and Jane.
I never thought I'd see the day that Quentin would make it as the last.
Oh, and
dude.
Quentin. I forgot Quentin
The
exists.
last man alive.
Just flying under the radar this whole time. This might be at the point where we lose Jane. We're gonna lose Jane or Lori next, I think.
Who ends up splitting up together though?
Oh yeah, how do they team up?
Because I think Dwight and Nancy might actually be accurate because I could see Dwight like clinging to somebody that like has been trying to keep him calm.
Mm-hmm.
And in the panic, they didn't have time to like get with their group, so like she couldn't hook up with Cheryl or anything.
That's fair. I could see so either Jane and Quentin or Lori and Quentin. Maybe even a group of 3 where it's
Yeah.
like Lori, Quentin, Jane.
Because I feel like Jane's too nice to be like, Quentin, you're creepy. So they would just let him come with them. So let's put Quentin,
Ooh.
Lori, and Jane
What?
together.
What about Zarina, Quentin, and Lori?
That is a possibility.
I think I like that group up better with Serena still being like kind of taking the leader role, and Lori just being like, we can't leave Quentin behind. He's a child. Hello, welcome, Null. You did miss Jeff. Jeff died earlier in the movie, kind of getting anxious and wanting to, as the group was all ganged up and everything, he wanted to dip out and ran into Huntress along the way.
I think Cheryl might take Claudette with her because she was probably checking in on her too.
Okay. I think. Okay.
Either
I'm
that
good
or
with
Claudette
that.
gets separated.
Claudette could accidentally get separated.
Because I could see her not, like, feeling comfortable trying to, like, get in with the group and just, like...
Wait. How about, okay, so Cheryl and Jane, and then Meg, Fang, and Claudette are grouped up. And Meg and Fang, who are both, like, a little bit more athletic and everything, Claudette's not keeping up with them. She falls behind.
Ooh. So it was Jane and Cheryl, Fang, Meg, and Claudette, and then Zarina, Lori, and Quentin?
Yes.
Okay. So, out of those, I'm trying to think who Huntress would probably be going after the most. Which I am leaning towards her following the Claudette Meg Fang group.
I'm leaning toward that too.
Because I don't think she's going to kill Meg and I don't think she's going to kill Fang. I think she's after that group because they might be little babushkas. But Claudette is definitely not a babushka.
Babushka means grandmother, by the way. But I think that's hilarious in the lore. Anyway. And yes, Null, David and Huntress came out. They were one of the very early DLCs. One of the first. But they came out at the same time.
Like, I feel like this is going to be her gathering stage where she eliminates any target that looks like they are not adoptable.
Yeah. So I think Fang and Meg are just going to walk too fast. And Claudette's going to fall behind.
And then get picked off.
And yes, Null, we do think that she will have a favorite. We're working out like the storyline of a horror movie, and we have Meg, Fang, and Cheryl coming in as far as like the last girls, but we're just trying to figure out how they get there.
All right, so I think she's going to take Meg and Fang hostage / adopt them and get them tied up in her cabin, and then she's going to move on.
Cheryl and Jane, and it's going to be a similar situation. She's going to take Jane out.
Would she go for Cheryl and Jane though? Because she wanted to get Meg and Fang because it was the most people together, but she's also seeing little Lori with a guy.
So what I was thinking in my head was because we wanted to get to Meg, Fang, and Cheryl being the last ones there, right?
Yeah.
So if she goes to the Cheryl and Jane group next, if she kills Jane, I'm imagining that the Zarina, Quentin, and Lori group might hear her scream and be like, oh shit, something's happening. And they have a debate like, is this our chance to like leave and get out of here while she's busy? Or do we go back? And maybe they stall too long
Quentin
or something.
would go back.
Quentin would go back?
Because he was close to beating Freddy according to the lore, and instead of leaving, he went back for everybody.
Okay. And then Lori's like, obviously you can't go alone, and Zarina's like, Zarina, another one, obviously, fighting for the people shit. You're not going back alone. So they decide to go back when they hear Jane dying.
Okay, so Jane... killed while snagging Cheryl. So at that point, Quentin and Zarina and Lori decide to go back, because I imagine Lori is not just gonna take off by herself either. She's a teenager.
No.
She's scarred.
She's, yeah, and a babysitter, like.
It's in her job description. Okay, so I think she's going to off Quentin first. Out of that group, because she's going to take Cheryl back to the cabin and come back. They're going to arrive at the scene of dead Jane, at which point Quentin's going to get mowed down. Returning for Jane. And then she's going to take down Zarina.
Okay.
Not young enough.
So we have our final four: Meg, Fang, Lori, and Cheryl.
We're getting down to the wire, guys. Okay, Meg, Fang. Pop Zarina out of there. Go. Alright, so we are down to the wire. So we have Meg, Fang, and Cheryl tied up in the shack.
We have a question. If you had to make yourself into a killer, what kind of killer would you be? I don't know if I could.
I have a hard time killing people in video games.
Yeah,
So,
you definitely could never.
yeah.
God,
I'd have to be like Batman, like in the Arkham games, where you're like, the guy fell from like 3 stories up and Batman still sees a heart rate. I'm like, yeah, clearly I would be that Batman, where Alfred's just putting in a heart rate to make you feel better.
I would be, I would mess with people's minds. I'd be more psychological about it. I guess along the lines of Saul, essentially. Minus, maybe not as much torture, though. What did you miss? We are on... I know, like, even in a fantasy scenario, like, Zen, legitimately, I promise you, unless something is trying to kill her first, she won't kill anything in a video game. But we're on the final 4 of Meg, Fang, and Cheryl have been dragged back into the cabin to be held hostage as her little children. And Lori just saw Quentin and Zarina die.
All right. We are on...
Zarina just died, Bucket.
Oh, no. This is going to be the hard part.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure that I have who I think's going to make it, and you have who you think's going to make it.
So I think it's... Oh, hold on. Okay, there it goes. I think we think different people.
I think so, too.
Yeah, no. So, I know who you think is going to win. There was just, in my head, as soon as you said the Huntress, there was just one scene that, like, if it were a movie, that just, like, popped into my head that I was like, I need Meg to make it toward the end. She doesn't have to actually be the final girl, but I want her here in the end. So Lori's got to die before Meg.
Okay. I feel like that's not going to be hard.
Okay. I don't know why, but your camera just froze on my stream. You're smiling, though. You look cute.
Oh, good.
Okay, so how does Lori die? She just saw Zarina and Quentin die. Does Huntress just go ahead and take her out, too?
I think she's going to take her back. Like, the 4 of them are all going to be tied up. And I think that while the Huntress is out, they are going to try and get themselves untied. And Lori will probably do exactly what she did in her trailer, where she will rush over to the door, make noise, like slam against it, and have her ear to it, and that's how she dies. because Huntress hears a rustle and somebody hitting the door, so she chucks an axe.
I like that.
So Lori gets a killed by the door, slash an axe through the door.
Okay. So at this point, we have Meg, Fang, and Cheryl, who are all fairly young looking. I know Meg is out of high school, but honestly not by much. Um, Here's why I wanted Meg to make it to the end, because I know the Huntress is Russian,
Mm-hmm.
but if we suspended reality for a second and said she wasn't, or if Meg somehow knew how to speak Russian, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think Meg is smart enough to figure out that the Huntress is trying to take care of them as if they were children who needed to be taken care of. Meg has the whole thing with her mom, who is sick and dying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if there was ever a moment that one survivor could actually have that emotional connection with the killer to be like, I know what it's like to lose your mom. It doesn't have to be like this. We're not so different. It would be Meg with the Huntress.
That is a really good point.
And that's why I wanted her to make it to the end. But she doesn't have to be the final girl for that. I'm leaning on your side with Cheryl, final girl, but that was like the very first thought with Meg. I was like, Meg can connect with the Huntress on an emotional level.
But would she know that that's what she's doing?
As I said, you have to suspend reality for a
Yeah.
moment and think that they can actually communicate.
Okay.
Or, I mean, Meg could also pick up clues. So maybe the Huntress has overall been taking a little bit more better care of her, Fang, Nancy, Cheryl.
She just comes
She,
in with Elodie's bag and starts giving them shit.
yeah, she sees them giving them toys, maybe trying to, treating them like children, basically.
Crying because she accidentally killed Lori when she thought it was an intruder.
Yeah. Like how distraught she is over Lori dying.
Yeah.
And maybe Meg's just like, holy shit, she thinks we're children. And she's trying to take care of us. And I don't know. I think I could see Meg as a survival tactic, trying to play into the emotional aspect of, if we let her take care of us, we'll be okay.
I don't think she's gonna make it past that part, though.
I don't either.
Like, once she gets them all resecured and Meg's like, listen, if we just play along, Huntress has a horrible track record for successfully
No pun intended.
raising children. So I think Meg would be the next one down.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, because she's not used to this stuff. She's probably been used to eating a diet that works well with her active lifestyle and not being bogged down, attached to a rope, and probably eating some raw, possibly bad meat, mushrooms, etc. Fang is used to not eating. She's probably at the point where her brain is absolutely fucking snapping. But I think that, like, I don't think she's gonna make it too much farther. But Cheryl has seen some shit. And she has been very cautious. She has been followed by a cult and gotten out. So I feel like if anybody, like, Meg's going to die from, like, some sort of food-based sickness.
Accidentally getting poisoned by the mushrooms, because earlier when they were making that plan with Ace, they mixed up some shit
Yeah.
by accident. And that ultimately is Meg's death.
So I think Meg will actually recognize that this is what she's doing, but she might put a little bit too much trust in, in the
Into the plan.
Huntress's parenting skills and die.
And then we have Fang and Cheryl, which at this point, I think with Meg dying, so that's Nancy, Lori, and Meg who are dead. I think the Huntress would actually be pretty distraught. Someone could go on the podcast as a guest. I'm gonna have to say no to that bucket because it took forever for Zen and I to be able to get this set up for both of us to be able to be on here to begin with. That we can't even normally, like, Alex will pop in on the voice chat with us and we already have to tell him, like, you can't do it while we're here. It will literally mess up the whole video. Like,
and this is literally our first time.
Yeah.
We're too new for this shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are down to Fang and Cheryl. I feel like Cheryl has tried to remain calm through this entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably the steadiest as far as thinking is concerned, and I think Fang is at the point where she's about ready to snap. Which I could see Huntress being as, like, freaking out about Meg and then seeing Fang freaking out, trying to console her and accidentally killing her. And then Cheryl taking the opportunity to slip out.
So, yes. I was imagining at some point with Huntress being distraught, Cheryl manages to slip away to leave. I thought potentially Fang could go with her.
I don't know that Huntress would let her go.
I'm thinking Huntress wouldn't even notice at first.
That is a possibility.
She's distraught, trying to, like, wake Meg back up. Because if Meg just dies of poisoning, like, she maybe threw up a little bit. But she's unconscious, seemingly. She's dead, but Huntress is like, you're just asleep, like, waking up, trying to just, like...
She was fine, like, 2 seconds ago. She can't be dead.
And, Fang is even up and is in such mental distress, she goes for the shrooms, ingesting too many empaths in her sleep. Oh.
I mean, she does get depressed, but yeah, that is a possibility that there are actually 2 survivors.
Yeah, because I think while Huntress is just distraught with Meg, Cheryl's like, this is our chance. And, like, just gives Fang, like, the look of, like, let's go. Grabs her hand and is just like, let's sneak away while this is happening.
I think that's it. I think we have 2 survivors.
2 survivors?
2 girls. They made it. I think that's it. Cheryl and Fang survive the Huntress.
By simply looking like the youngest of everyone.
Yeah. So survive Cheryl and Fang. All right.
I need to... Oh, you're taking notes off stream? How did Fang make it? So, we picked out the Huntress's favorites by being the most, like, the youngest looking girls, which would be Meg, Lori, Fang, Nancy, and Cheryl. Nancy died by accident. Cheryl died by Huntress not knowing it was her. Meg died by trying to go for the emotional aspect and it backfiring. And Fang and Cheryl make it out. All Fang did was play Valorant all day. Fang's just out here in the woods on her phone playing PUBG. Nobody noticed she had her phone, so they were just like, didn't even think of calling for help.
I mean, she is used to, like, dealing with depression, and out of all of them, she has, like, she's dealt with not sleeping, she's dealt with not eating previously in her life. So out of all of them, if Huntress is fucking with them, they can't go out and get food, she's actually best equipped because she's used to it. And up until that point, she's been staying stationary, so she's not using up a lot of energy. So she had a very good shot from the beginning. So do we want to do a quick recap?
We can. You've been taking the notes, though, so it's you.
Okay, so our first down is Kate due to stupidity. Next, David hears the scream of Kate, goes to try and fight the Huntress. Dies. The group finally gets together. Bill decides to go out and do some recon. Dies. Jake and Nia decide that they are going to go out by themselves because they're independent little people, and they die off screen. Elodie dies attempting an occult investigation and is also robbed. She goes out because of the encouragement from Yunjin. Felix, he leaves to go try to find Elodie and warns everybody the Yunjin will kill them, and dies trying to find Elodie not before the Huntress ogles his beautiful ass. Jeff is getting upset with the drama and leaves, and he dies. It doesn't help that he smells like beer and is easy to track down. So next, we have Yunjin stealing Adam's plan and needing a volunteer. So Steve dies trying to complete this plan. Yunjin gets the boot because everybody felt like that her decisions are getting everybody killed. They lost track of where Jeff went to. Felix, Elodie, and Steve are both dead, so she gets booted out and picked off. Adam feels horrible because of the plan that he had that Yunjin stole from him, and decides to announce a new plan and act as the person that's going to put the plan into action, and also due to the restructure. So he goes out and he dies, mostly because of his guilt and whatever plan he had not succeeding. Ash makes a smart-ass comment and leaves because everybody's like, if you can do better, then fucking do it.
Welcome, Wobble.
Ace.
Cammy says, moral of the horror story, don't do anything until the end or you'll be a notch in Huntress's murder belt.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't stand out against her.
Yes. Ace makes a bet when they decide to make their last-ditch effort plan. They said, I bet you $20 you can't do this. He said, make it 40, and he dies during the plan. Yui, as the fail-safe, sees Ace fail, runs out with the other knitting needle that is laced with poison, and attempts to stab the Huntress, leading to a face-to-face showdown because Yui does not back away from anything. So at that point, Yui dies in that fight. The Huntress comes for Nancy, sees how young she is, and stops and doesn't kill her, but Tap doesn't realize that she is actually in no danger, and the Huntress goes ahead and kills Tap at that point. So Tap tries to save her, didn't really need to, and dies for it. So at that point, the groups split up. Nancy ends up getting paired up with Dwight because she is his emotional support human. She slips as they're walking, and Dwight manages to catch her. Or
no.
Dwight slips, she catches him, and he is freaking out and pulls too hard and manages to pull himself up from the ravine, but it causes Nancy to lose her footing and plummet to her death. The Huntress, who has been following them, trying to make sure Nancy is okay because she looks like she's young, she's thinking she's going to adopt her and take care of her, sees this happen, and kills Dwight out of rage because she blames him for the death. In the other group, Claudette ends up with, Meg and Fang?
And just can't keep up and falls behind.
Falls behind, gets picked off. Jane dies as the Huntress comes in and snags Cheryl. The rest of the survivors hear Jane die, and Quentin says, I'm going to go back. And Zarina's like, you're a fucking toddler, man. I'm not going to let you go. And Lori's a babysitter. It's in her job description. So they go back for Jane. At which point, Quentin is killed because he's a dude and Huntress does not like them. Zarina is just not young enough to live. which brings Lori, Meg, Cheryl, and Fang back to the Huntress's cabin where they are tied up. They attempt to escape, and Lori decides to do her Mike Myers survival impression and runs to the door and hits it, making the Huntress think that there is somebody in there trying to kill her little babushkas, and she throws an axe and it goes through the door and through Lori's head. She opens the door, finds out she kills Lori, she's inconsolable. Meg reaches that point where she's like, oh, she thinks that we're her children, and tells the others we should play along because she really just wants to take care of us, but she puts too much faith in the Huntress's parent experience and dies because she eats something that she shouldn't. And the Huntress is inconsolable because she was alive just 2 seconds ago, at which point Fang and Cheryl manage to slip away while she is mourning Meg and trying to wake her up without knowing that she is already dead. So our survivors of that group are Cheryl and Fang. We did it.
I love it. What a movie.
Yes.
Found Prometheus says that checks out for Dwight. That was my favorite. And yes, well, Nancy died not by the killer.
Yeah.
I was very persistent that Nancy's death was an accident.
So I guess our question for the audience now is, what killer should we do next?
Ooh, yes. Your two mains, Huntress and Fang. This was the perfect episode for you,
I know.
artist.
So
We got one vote for Oni.
Ooh.
Sally, which would be like the whole Legion.
Yeah, if we do one Legion, we get all of the Legion. So we have an option for Trapper, Wraith, Hillbilly, Nurse, Shape.
Oh, wait, Sally is Nurse. Duh. I'm so sorry about Prometheus. Thank you, artist. Yeah, sorry.
Adirius, we got to vote for Vommy Mommy. We have Michael, we have the Hag, Clown, Pig, Freddy, Bubba.
I got another Freddy over here. I don't know if Cammy's popping into both chats.
No, the only suggestion I have is for Vommy Mommy. We've already done Huntress. We have the Doctor, Spirit, Legion, Plague, Ghostface, Demogorgon, Oni, Trickster, Twins, Blight, Pyramid Head, and...
Oh, you were just reading the whole
Gunslinger.
list.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were doing...
No. So I
people,
have...
like, voting.
So I've got one for the Plague over here.
I've got one for Oni, one for Nurse, one for Freddy, and one for Legion.
We have a suggestion for a poll in Dino's chat.
Okay.
Since we've got Plague, Oni, Nurse, Freddy, and Legion as the suggestions, we should probably do it between those guys.
Then who is next? So Plague, Oni, Legion, Nurse, Freddy.
Yeah, Plague, Oni, Nurse, Freddy, Legion, yes.
All right, 2 minutes, friends. They have a story. They actually have a very long story, the twins do. Quentin and Fang would death survive against Freddy. Oh, yeah. Some survivors would kill Victor easily, but get brutally killed by Charlotte.
I like Charlotte. I feel so bad for her.
The one who's used to staying up is Fang. And Quentin.
Yeah.
Which, if we do Freddy, I feel like we gotta go with the whole thing of he can't hurt you unless you're asleep.
I'll have to see what his actual lore says in there, just in case there's a loophole or something.
Plague versus Oni, just annihilating everyone back and forth.
When we do a Trickster and Pyramid Head, who survives the thirst trap?
Artist has put like 20 votes into Plague, but somebody keeps going into Oni. I think it's Alex. I think Alex is doing it.
Is it
Oh
bad that I'm
gosh.
like, I feel like
It's
Kate's gonna.
just barely. Oh, I'm sorry, artist. Just barely. Our next killer is going to be Oni.
Oh, wow. That was unexpected.
Oh, so close. It was back and forth really like if Plague was up there. We could do Plague after Oni.
That works for me.
So next Monday's Oni, the Monday after that, Plague.